In chapter 23 of Birthright against enemies with 100 crit, we are up against Camilla and around 70 cavalry and wyverns who all have 100 crit. Compared to previous chapters, this is a big increase in difficulty because of the boost in enemy power and aggression as well as the map gimmick. This map is organized into 3 wide columns, and every turn Camilla will activate a Dragon Vein that deals 10 damage to all player units in one of those columns. This is always targeted towards the column with the most player units, and it also destroys terrain, permanently making the space more open. Units in the corridors between columns can avoid the AoE damage, but the space is quite cramped. Enemy composition is mainly focused on high movement fighters and cavalry, with a mix of magical and physical damage. However, most of these enemies also have surprisingly low accuracy, leading me to believe that I can use Ryoma to dodge tank them. Unfortunately, Ryoma can't cover every enemy that approaches, and I end up getting hit from 2 angles. In my first few attempts, I take losses on the non-Ryoma front, forcing resets. Ryoma himself does quite well, as he's able to dodge quite consistently and also survive being crit, with shield gauge and vantage activations further extending his survivability. But the enduring problem is that I'm not really able to protect the rest of my army from an aggressive wave of enemies on the right. It takes a few attempts, but I work out a plan where Ryoma handles the majority of the enemies on the left side while the rest of my army moves forward to deal with the other threats proactively. On the right side, I move as far forward as I can, making sure to snipe the enemy flyers and taking advantage of the terrain to block enemy movement. Eventually, I manage to stabilize the right side, but the other part of the plan fails. After dodge tanking and vantage sweeping a tremendous number of enemies, Ryoma's luck finally runs out and he gets killed by a crit. I make several more attempts in the hopes of just brute forcing things, but Ryoma keeps getting crit and keeps getting killed. With this in mind, I decide to optimize Ryoma further to increase his avoid. I buy him stat boosters with the tremendous amount of gold that Birthright just hands you, and I also reclass Rinka into a Swordmaster, which gives Ryoma a lot of speed from the pair up. By combining all of this along with tonics, meals, and rally speed and luck from Hanoka and Sakura, I'm able to stack a ridiculous 110 avoid on Ryoma, which is actually more avoid than many of the enemies on this map have hit rate. Ryoma had trouble surviving when enemies had around 10 to 20% hit rate, but now chance is no longer a factor, because many of the enemies now literally have 0 hit against him. In other words, for this map, Ryoma has become invincible, and with this, the rest of the chapter is no longer an obstacle. He's able to sweep through most of the enemies by himself with no difficulty. As I complete the chapter, I also managed to capture and recruit the Grey Knight Tobias and the Wyvern Lord Leonard to fill out my ranks for the endgame.